So good morning, YouTube. I'm up here at Morgan's bench, and the barn is just beyond that. Um, I thought I would talk a little bit about some of the things we got going on as spring has drastically changed for us as far as what we're going to be able to do. Um, the goats, thankfully, we misjudged their pregnancy dates. It without pregnancy tests, we're really just going off of the visuals we saw when he first mated. So we know, like Nutmeg, for instance, we know he started mating with her in I believe it was October, late September, October. But we don't know when the mating was successful. So we believe she's pregnant. She's starting to show signs of it, but we're really guessing again until we see some better signs of her being pregnant. And that's with all of them. Nutmeg was looking. We were believing she's pregnant. We still are. She's constantly laying down. She's getting bigger. Her ligaments in her tail have gone in a little bit, so signs like that, we think. Cinnamon's udder is filling up. She's widening out. Same thing, her ligaments are going in. Just subtle things like that. So, but thankfully they've held off. It'll give me time to finish up the barn. I'm more than 2/3 done. I'm looking at it now. I got one sectional wall to finish, and then 3 walls of the chicken coop end to build. And then I got to go back and there's 2 panels on each end of the roof I got to put on. Just little things like that. Go around and trim things out, tighten things up, and so it's working with our timeline. Thankfully, we haven't been able to do. Well, thankfully, the goats haven't had their kids yet. So I'm thinking June 1st. We probably ought to be squared away, and by that I just mean the goat pen and the extra pen will be done. I'm not too concerned about the chicken coop when I get it done, because we've had to kind of scrap that idea, or at least table it for now. But a lot of the gardens are doing really good. Of course, we built the swales and stuff, but I'll take you around here in a moment and just show you some of the gardens, some of the things Julia's got growing and some of the things I got growing. We're still planting, so there'll be still more new stuff yet to go in the ground. Last year we planted up until July, and we still had plenty of time to harvest pumpkins and things like that from them, bird gourd squashes. So if it's 90 days, you got all of July, all of August, and all of September. And down here, that's still all warm weather, and things still do pretty well. So the ticks have been really bad this year. We probably pulled more ticks off of the animals and ourselves this first month or so of spring than we did certainly off ourselves all of last year. We really didn't have many on ourselves last year, mostly on bones. We treat the dogs, but they still will pick them up, and if the mites aren't biting the dog, I don't think the medicine works. So if it's just a mite and it's being transient, moving from you know, the dog to something else, the cat or something, it may never even bite it, and may never feel the treatment from the mites. But I would imagine that their body secretes the substance in the oil as well of their skin. Just would seem to make sense, you know. No different than when you get drunk and your body has to process the alcohol and you stink of stale alcohol the next day, you know. Which incidentally is one of the smells I hate most in this world is stale alcohol. Like someone who smells after drinking the night before or drinking earlier, you know. I just can't stand it. But why don't we do a little walk? We'll go see some of Julia's garden and some of the things on the hugelkultur mounds, and then we'll go check out the Swale Hills. Incidentally, maybe I'll do a video on it alone, but I don't even see this dead tree right here. This one, it's dead. And then the one, there's two more in front that have already broken and fallen. That's what it was. One there. What I believe happened is there's a walnut cluster in there. These trees on the backside are walnuts. There's like 2 or 3 of them. And I damaged the trees a little bit, stressed them out, the walnut trees. And they release, when they're stressed too much, they'll release a chemical compound called juglone, Juglone. And in some cases, it can be toxic to the neighboring plants. And that's to put competition at bay so the walnuts can thrive again. In other cases, the juglone actually helps. It just depends on the species of tree or plant. But it was interesting because it happened on 2 spots, and I couldn't really figure out how they died so fast. But that's what I surmised, because the other area was the same thing. A cluster of walnuts with like a hickory or something in between, and it wasn't a hickory, I don't know what it was. But it got damaged, and the walnut trees got damaged, they got stressed. And it just kills the trees. Like this one put out leaves last year, but it still was dead by the end of summer. So interesting enough, it's still got 2 little branches. Oh no, they're not. They're coming off the other tree. So be careful what you plant near and around walnuts. I know I've said this before, but it was an interesting learning experience for me. And it can be pretty problematic. Julia's got this one hugelkultur mound, and these are all potatoes you see coming up here. She's got to mound them up again with a little more, but it's looking really good. This mound over here is the one with all the peas. Not all of this is peas. A good part of it, this end especially, is weeds. But once the pumpkins and the tomatoes take over, a lot of the weed will die back. I'll pull it, you know, right around the time the plants are getting big, and but this is all peas right here, this end. So we got peas, spinach, tomatoes, pumpkins. And these peas I won't be eating. What I'm gonna do is, any day now, putting off their flowers, what I'll do is I'm gonna cut them down, and all that nitrogen that's been stored into the leaves and waiting to make, you know, peas, I'll cut it down before it releases all that into making peas, and it'll become a fodder and a mulch for the bed that, as it breaks down, releases the nitrogen. So
And what it did over the winter was it kept the bed semi-covered. You know, the plants grew and they kept the bed busy. You know, over here we got some peas, we got carrots, we got up in the middle there is, cripe, I forgot. Oh, bird gourd. No, not bird gourd squash, but spaghetti squash, I believe they're called. Yeah. And then we got carrots and pumpkins and tomatoes. So everything's so little. You know, there's the peas, there's the spaghetti squash, or whatever the hell they're called. The carrots are up in there, right between the spaghetti squash. Carrots all down that line. So, looking pretty good. We'll take a walk over here at Julia's area. Here's her seedlings. Looking really good. There's just a lot going on in here. She's got squash and peppers and tomatoes and lavender. Just a lot of stuff here. These little soil block makers are really worth it. They really are. It makes it so easy to move and transfer stuff around, and she doesn't even make solid blocks. It's just that they're cut and spaced that you can peel them apart. And like this little one, there's a bigger cell you can make that these little ones fit right into. So, you know, your plants are growing, doing real well. You take one of these little cells you made and you put it into a bigger cell, and it never gets a root interruption, and it just keep growing, you know, to a certain size. But so she did all black plastic, and it's proven to be pretty good. I think she's right. In some cases it's made it hot for the plants, but I think it's looking great. Zucchinis, raspberries, I forgot, cucumbers all down that line. Cucumbers all down here. She just planted those. Tomatoes, which she hasn't planted yet. She's got this big trellis. She's gonna hang them off of. Basil on down the line. Carrots, garlic, and peas. Now these peas we'll eat. And then along the border she's got different things like raspberry plants and strawberry plants and flowers. It's really nice. Just very new. Very, very new. Things grow like weeds down here. I mean, if it's got a good condition, in a couple weeks time those things will be huge. So we did a tunnel here, and we got down here on the ground bird gourd squash, spaghetti squash, and loofah. And the loofah is what you get your loofah sponge from, obviously. And I say that because I didn't realize it. I just assumed it came from the ocean or something. It was a coral or a sponge of that sort, but actually grows in a gourd-like plant, long cucumber-looking things. So there's several. She only had 4 seeds, but there's several other of the bird gourds and the spaghetti squash down there, both sides. And the corn's done good. She had some get eaten in the beginning, but she's replaced those and they're sprouting, so corn's coming up. Over there is more corn, and then in those weeds are pumpkins, and you can't really see them well because I can't mow over anything there. So this is where I'm at with the barn so far. I got 2 pieces, like I said, of metal to go at either end of the roof, one just down there and one on that part there. And I'll probably do some trim on the outside, but those ends I left long. You never know when you want something to hang a flower or basket or something off of or whatever, so I left them long. But each space has a sunlight spot or a panel, except for the end one. I think I'm just gonna use that bay as like a spot for the tractor to go. But this middle bay has all clear panels because Julia will use that as a workspace and then as a little greenhouse to start stuff in the springtime. And this first bay is the goat pen. That's essentially done except for some groundwork, but the goats could go in there now. And the middle bay is, like I said, the one for Julia. And then the last bay will be, third bay will be the chickens. And the last bay will be the tractor and lawnmower. We'll just have a little parking area. That's all that'll be. But yeah, it's come along. I mean, I don't do it very fast, but it is looking good, I thought, considering the building is completely racked over to the side and everything's old. But you know, we'll throw this up and it'll hold for some time. Oh, Kitty. There's Kitty. Mr. Cupid, the love machine. Hey, I'm just a love machine, and I don't work for nobody but you. So the swales, yeah, they're working fine. I like it. It's been difficult to mow, so I haven't. No, I did mow one time, but it's so rutted up at the one spot I gave up. But so the things that we got, peach tree, looks like it's lost some leaves from that transplant, but it's doing okay. It's even got one little stone fruit, so that's the peach. And then come down a little farther, we got a blueberry. It's doing well. It's got some blueberries on it, in fact. So, this one here is allspice, I believe it is. We lost the tag, but I'm pretty sure it's allspice. It's the only one we couldn't find with a tag. This one here is, oh, mulberry. Okay, yeah, mulberry. Skip to this one. This one's just starting to bud. Black. Aronia berry? I don't know. I hate saying the names. I'm very bad with word pronunciations. This one is like beautyberry or something like that. Oh, pomegranate. Way off. That is elderberry right there. We had another one. We actually have, we had 3, we got 2 left. This one is the beautyberry. Right in there with a nice weed. But, you know, like I said, the weeds aren't gonna hurt it. They're gonna cover the ground and shade the ground and stuff and help you out, so don't sweat it right now. And then when the plants get bigger, you know, you can trim around them. Just your standard blackberry. It's never done well because it's been mowed down like a couple times. Raspberry, doing really good. This is a honey locust. I had one on Shirley when we lived there, and it was destroyed in the storm. And I cut it down to ground level, and there was just a stump sticking out. And the stump started throwing up shoots, so I left it, and it was just such a cool tree. It gives this really, really tapered sunlight that comes through, you know, just really cool. Blueberry. Incidentally, this one was completely mowed down by the goats, I believe, the first day. It's doing well, making a comeback. And then the third mound, we don't have a ton of stuff on. This one here is a chokeberry. It was also heavily named by the goats in the beginning. It's got a couple leaves down here, but it'll come back. It's got a lot of new growth coming out already. It just hasn't opened up. And then elderberry down here, doing good. Those were cuttings Julia took from the elderberry we have by the creek over here. And then there's nothing else until you get way down here. And I don't think it's even living anymore, but yeah, it looks like it died, this elderberry here. So, but I mean, it's still, you know, the only duplicates we have are the blueberries. Everything else is, you know, an individual, unique tree. So we have a lot of spaces that we'll plant like just random things. I don't know, you know, I even thought about just putting tomato plants here and there, or I planted alfalfa grass. That's what all this newer looking grass is, so that even that can be eaten by the animals if they need to. This was an abandoned hive, and I hadn't got a new hive in there, but a hive found it on its own, and they've taken up residency inside it. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, oh yeah, they're definitely bringing in pollen. Let's see if I can get a better shot. Oops, sorry. So the landing board, you should be able to see the bees that are coming in with the pollen on their legs. Right now I don't see anybody but the doorkeepers. See that one fanning, blowing air up in there. Still don't see. There's one. Oh, just went in and was loaded up. So not a lot of pollen coming in. You know, just like a moment before, like 3 bees in a row went in that were heavily laden with pollen, so it's hit or miss, I guess. This here is a 4 species apple tree. Each stem roughly is a different species. By that I mean the big ones coming off the trunk there. There's 4 clusters. So it flowered, but the flowers were small and they didn't get pollinated in time. The one over here did though, so let's go look at that. This tree is the Juna Gold, I believe it's called, Juna. Oh yeah, there it is. Juna Gold, Jona Gold. And we did get 2 apples. Here's one. And then another one up here. We'll see what we get of them. But kind of cool. A couple little apples here. And it's doing way better than it did last year. So that's great news. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you have a great day.